What's going on, Alabama fans? Chris Daughtry here with the Alabama Football Report by Chat Sports. Before we get into today's show, I want to ask you guys again to go ahead and give me a follow over on Twitter. That's at Chris Chat Sports. If you've missed our videos right here on the YouTube side of things, you can go over there and see those videos as well. Post all of our content over on Twitter, so help me out. Go give me a follow. That's at Chris Chat Sports. All right, coming up on today's show, we're going to take a look at the Pro Football Focus Top 200 Big Board for the 2025 college football season. Alabama has 11 players on their current Big Board right now, and we're talking about it. I know you guys don't normally like talking draft stuff, so this is not necessarily draft stuff, because these players are still on Alabama's team right now. So we're going to break it all down on today's show. First player up today is Kadyn Proctor. Pro Football Focus has him ranked as the number 6 overall player in college football in 2025. And Kadyn Proctor is really set for a jump this next season. You know, I've seen him in a lot of mock drafts going inside pretty much every single one that I've seen has Kadyn Proctor going inside the top 10 all the way up to that number 1 overall selection. I thought last year he took a massive jump in terms of his development, even with that shoulder injury that he ended up having, at the beginning of the season. There was some shuffling around that Alabama had to do on the offensive line. But, man, Kadyn Proctor took such a big jump last year, and I think he's really going to be a prime candidate for Alabama to go inside the first round, go inside somewhere in that top 10 range. I've seen him all the way up to that number 1 overall pick. So let me know here at the pin comment of today's video. There's like 3 Alabama players here inside the top 100 along the offensive line on this list today. So that offensive line should be pretty solid for Alabama next season. So let me know what you guys think of the pin comment of today's video. Will Alabama have the best offensive line in the country in 2025 and end up winning the Joe Moore Award? Type Y for yes or N for no, especially if that ad comes right here on YouTube. The next player we're going to talk about here is LT Overton. LT Overton, I think the biggest thing for him last season was just being able to finish. That was one thing that, we have talked about a lot. Kane Womack, Alabama's defensive coordinator, was asked about that as well during Alabama spring practices. And when you look at the stats here, man, he only had 2 sacks last year to 39 pressures. That was one of the biggest things that, NFL people talked about in terms of a guy like Shamar Turner. The athleticism is there. Getting in the backfield is there. It's just being able to finish off on some of those plays. I think LT Overton is really primed for a really breakout season with Alabama this year. And I think if he's able to do that, say he gets, 7, 8 sacks this year, because he's getting in the backfield a lot. If he can up that sack number and that TFL number, LT Overton's definitely going to be a lock in the 2026 NFL draft in that first round. PFF also has Deontae Lawson at number 21 in their top 200 big board here. And Deontae Lawson, the big thing for him, man, it's going to come down to, is he able to come back from injury and play at that same level that he was playing last year? Because every single season that Deontae Lawson has gotten meaningful playing time for Alabama, he has taken a step forward. And hopefully he's able to come back from that injury that he suffered towards the end of last season. Says he's going to be good to go by the beginning of this season, but Deontae Lawson, number 21 player overall, going into his redshirt junior season, I wouldn't expect him to continue and come back the following season for Alabama. I think this is probably going to be it for him. He even said that, had he not gotten hurt, this year, he would have went into the NFL draft. But, man, Deontae Lawson definitely probably going to be one of Alabama's team captains next year. Very, very excited about what he is able to do for Alabama this season, coming back from that really bad ACL injury that he suffered last season. Bray Hubbard, the next player on this list here, PFF has him ranked at the number 43 spot overall on their big board. And, man, Bray Hubbard, what he was able to provide for Alabama after Keon Sabb went down with his injury last year was nothing short of exceptional, man. 56 tackles and only 429 snaps. Played about half the season there, and he didn't get targeted a ton, but when he did, man, he did not allow very many yards at all. Only 34 yards allowed per Pro Football Focus for Bray Hubbard there. And one of the most exciting things that I love about Bray Hubbard is his ability to come down and tackle in the run game. He's a phenomenal run stopper. I think that combination with Keon Sabb and Bray Hubbard in the back end for Alabama, it's going to be hard for opposing quarterbacks to really hit those deep balls against Alabama this year, especially, these guys are going into year 2 in this Kane Womack system. I think last year, we'll talk about Keon Sabb a little bit later, but I think last year some of these guys were really kind of struggling early on in the season. I thought when Bray Hubbard went in there, man, I thought that safety position really did take a little bit of a step up. Tim Keenan, Pro Football Focus has him ranked as the number 48 player overall on their big board here. Tim Keenan, probably this is going to be his last season. He is a redshirt senior. So he's really going to have to take his game to the next level this year. He is a premier run stopper in college football. Not really, looking at that sack number in terms of those, nose tackles, interior defensive linemen. But, man, Tim Keenan, what he's able to do in stopping the run for Alabama, this kid's really, really good, and he just, plugs up holes. I think he's got the ability to go, round 2, maybe even round 3 in the NFL draft. And if he goes crazy this year, who knows? Maybe he can get up there inside that first round. I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Fanatics. You guys can get up to 30% off right now just by going to chatsports.com/Alabama jerseys. They've got the crimson ones. They've got the red ones. You could do customizable ones. So if you can't find the jersey, current player that you're actually looking for, you can just go over to the customizable ones as well. They even have alumni jerseys. So with the transfer portal right now, I understand a lot of people don't want to go out there and actually buy jerseys for current players because they might not be playing for Alabama in the following season. But you guys can get those alumni jerseys. You guys can get those customizable jerseys as well just by going to chatsports.com/Alabama jersey. That link will be in the comments section and the description of today's video. Parker Brailsford is the next player on this list. Obviously, he transferred over from Washington the year before when Kalen DeBoer got hired as the head coach. He ended up following Kalen DeBoer. And one thing that's kind of interesting as well about Parker Brailsford was, he played really, really well for Alabama last season, and that is coming off of the following spring where he really didn't practice a ton. I don't think he really even practiced any, so he missed that entire spring and still was able to really come into that 2025 season and absolutely play lights out. In the first 2 seasons of playing time for Parker Brailsford, he has only allowed 1 snap and only 1 sack in just under 2,000 total snaps here for Parker Brailsford. There's one thing he can get a little bit better at. It's definitely that run blocking aspect. But, man, he's going to be right beside Jaeden Roberts. He's going to be beside either Geno Vandermark or Cam Dewberry, I would assume, there at that left guard spot. So, you got Kadyn Proctor over there at that left side, man. Alabama's offensive line has the ability to be extremely, extremely good this year because you also have Jaeden Roberts as well. He's ranked as the number 61 overall player for PFF as well. The big thing for Jaeden Roberts is he going to be able to stay healthy here. You look at kind of the snap breakdowns here for both Jaeden Roberts and Geno Vandermark. Both these guys were really good when they played last year, and hand up, L's in the chat for me. I was, kind of hard on Geno Vandermark the first couple of games that he was in there. But, you talk about the continuity of the offensive line, shaking things up. As much as Alabama did last season, I thought these guys did a phenomenal job when both of them were playing in the game. I think Jaeden Roberts has an opportunity. I said it before last season, going into this 2025 NFL draft, he's got the ability to play his way into the first round. He's a redshirt senior this year, so I'm going to say it again. He's got the ability to play his way into the first round as well. He's one of the strongest players in college football. Looks like the Incredible Hulk out there. I absolutely love Jaeden Roberts, and I can only hope that he's able to stay as healthy as he can get this spring or this fall. So what is your confidence level that Jaeden Roberts is able to stay healthy for the entirety of Alabama's 2025 season? Let me know what you guys think. Scale it for me in the comment section. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. 1, you don't think he's going to be able to stay very healthy. It's going to be like last year, if not worse. 10, you think he's going to go out there and play every single snap on the offensive side of the ball this season, outside of maybe blowouts. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section for me right now. Next player here is Cam Calhoun. You got him out of the transfer portal from Utah. He's the 109th player right now on the on the Pro Football Focus big board here. And what's going to be interesting, I think, about Cam Calhoun is you also have Dejon Lee there at that, cornerback 2 spot. So it's going to be really interesting to see kind of how they're able to split up some of those snaps. I wonder too if Cam Calhoun's a guy that maybe they throw in there at that Husky position. Kane Womack is a defensive coordinator that really likes to utilize, a lot of players in a lot of different ways and a lot of different packages. So if they think Cam Calhoun can, come in and be productive for Alabama on the defensive side of the ball, I would not be surprised at all. If you've got Domani Jackson out there, you got Zabian Brown out there, you got your safeties out there, and they somehow find a way to get Cam Calhoun on the field as well next year. I'm very excited about him. There's been a lot of buzz about him, and even Kane Womack said, just being able to get on the field on the defensive side of the ball at Utah is a very, very impressive thing, and Cam Calhoun was one of the best corners in college football last season. We'll see if he's able to get on the field very much, next season for Alabama. Keon Sabb sitting here at the 111th spot here on the Pro Football Focus rankings. Keon Sabb, obviously, he went through that injury that he suffered last season. And I think early on in the season, the first couple of games there, he had those 2 interceptions in the first game of the season. But I think he kind of took a little bit of a step back. I think there was, that element of, still trying to learn the defense. Sometimes I think, he might have been out of position a little bit, and some guys were trying to, overcompensate and get in the right spots. I remember one play specifically earlier in the season. It was one of those 4th down plays that Alabama seemed to give up a touchdown on multiple 4th down plays early on in the season. And there's one that I think he was supposed to cover one of the wide receivers, get deep. And, Malachi Moore saw that wasn't happening, and he went deep. And there was just a lot of confusion there. But I think going into year 2, Keon Sabb is going to be really, really good for Alabama. You got him and Bray Hubbard back there. I think, it's going to be a really, really tough time for opposing teams to push the ball downfield on Alabama next year. Make sure you guys are subscribed right here to the Alabama Football Report. We're going to have videos all off-season long for you guys, so do not miss out. A lot of recruiting going on here in the off-season, but we're still going to try to talk about some of these current players and the outlook for Alabama's season next year. So help me out, help yourself out, stay up to date on all Alabama football news at youtube.com/@RollTideTV. Germie Bernard ranked number 116 right now on the big board here for Pro Football Focus. Germie Bernard, man, I don't know what more you can say about this kid. He came in from Washington, followed Kalen DeBoer over, and he was incredible for Alabama last season. I think, him and Ryan Williams were really your only 2 wide receivers that you could consistently count on last season. I got a lot of faith that, we're going to go into next season. And, I don't know if he's going to have 1,000 yards because you got 3 really good wide receivers right there for you in Germie Bernard, Ryan Williams, and Isaiah Horton, plus the guys, in the depth for Alabama at that wide receiver spot. Germie Bernard is going to be a solid player. I still think right now probably, 3rd round-ish for him, but we'll see what happens this year. But I really, really like Germie Bernard, and I really like what he brings to the table for Alabama. Domani Jackson ranked 177 now, and I'll be honest, I thought Domani Jackson got a lot of I don't think he got enough praise for what he did this past season for Alabama. He was really super locked down for the Crimson Tide. I went back and I looked kind of, what his stats look like compared to Kool-Aid McKinstry the year before. Kool-Aid went the first pick of the 2nd round a couple years ago to the Saints. Domani Jackson, they put up almost identical numbers. Not a lot of teams really threw at Domani Jackson. And when they did, they were only completing just over 50% of those balls there. I think he's a very, willing tackler as well. That's something you really always want out of those cornerbacks. Domani Jackson, Xavier Brown, those are going to be two shutdown corners for Alabama in 2025.